According to Google, there are 1 billion people using Gmail today. Most of these probably assume their emails are perfectly safe, and that they can trust Google to treat their private emails as just that, private. However, this is highly likely simply not true. Google has 57,000 employees. A large number of these people can read your private emails by simply clicking a button. Of course, Google claims they're not doing this. However, there are still thousands of Google employees who can read your private emails as easily as you can read them yourself. A couple of days ago, an engineer in Google wrote an internal memo intended to only be distributed to his colleagues. The memo was leaked into the public domain, and a debate was inflamed amongst the people about whether or not this engineer was a sexist or not. Most people who joined the debate completely missed the point. Whether or not the engineer was a sexist or not is almost completely irrelevant. The debate we should have been having is how safe our privacy is in the hands of Google. This document was intended exclusively for internal use, and it was leaked by an employee working for Google. That is in fact the only interesting part of the story, not whether or not the engineer was a sexist, or if Google's decision to fire the engineer was correct or not. The story should have started and ended with the fact that data intended to be only accessible for employees within Google was actually leaked into the public domain, period. This implies that if an engineer at Google for some reasons hates your guts, he can read through your emails, find a 10-year-old picture you sent to your boyfriend depicting your boobs, and anonymously leak it into the public domain, simply because he hates your guts. And if he does, congratulations, you are now amongst the most famous porn stars on the planet without having given your consent, and nobody would even know who leaked the pictures. Maybe he did so because you didn't want to sleep with him, maybe he did it because you had the wrong political opinions, or maybe he did it because he didn't like Mondays. The point is that this engineer has about 20 years of your search history at his fingertips, and roughly 13 years worth of emails, and he can destroy your life by simply clicking a button. The reasons for this is because Google hosts your data on Google's servers, such that it is stored in clear text, implying that anyone having access to Google's servers can read your private data just as easily as you can. In Sepia 5, we have completely eliminated this problem. But instead of choosing to host your data, we supply the tools you need to be able to have you send your emails, such that it's only stored on your computer. This ensures that the only ones who can read your emails is you and the person you send an email to, period. In addition, when the email is sent, we encrypt the email with the same cryptography algorithms that the CIA, NSA, MI6 and FSB is using when they exchange data. In fact, not even the CIA would be able to read your emails. This means that it becomes mathematically impossible for anybody else, besides you and your recipient, to actually read your email. Now, if an employee in Google is willing to leak an internal memo written by a colleague and such destroy a colleague's life, what do you think he'd do to you, a stranger, if somebody were to pay him $1,000 to destroy your life? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand the problem, right? For the record, with Sepia 5, you can even keep your existing Gmail address, and yet still use our military-grade cryptography, making your privacy just that, yours. Sepia 5 is also free software, open source and gratis for individuals.